Hey guys, and welcome! I have an absolutely bonkers game of Domination to showcase for you guys today. I'm a Rubber Duck of War and I'm leading the forces of Tzeentch against, you guessed it, more forces of Tzeentch. It is a Tzeentch mirror match. Now normally I don't showcase too many mirror matches here on the channel because they can get a little bit boring and repetitive, and likewise can be a little bit difficult to differentiate between the units, particularly forces like Tzeentch where all the units look so awesome. A load of bright colours clashing against a load of bright colours, but this game has one of the most, if not the most insane endings I have played yet in a Warhammer 3 game, so let's delve into this. And we're going to be coming in pretty damn hard with the Air Force. We have a double glorious Doom Knights of Tzeentch, still one of my favourite units in the game. I think they were my first or second video on Warhammer 3 was showcasing these bad boys because they're so damn cool and they're going to be floating menacingly towards the enemy. We also have some glorious Screamers of Tzeentch in the sky, supported by an Exalted Lord of Change, coming in with Searing Doom and Final Transmutation. We've got Forsaken on the ground and some Chaos Knights, and trust me, I have plenty of Chaos Knights in reserve, looking to bring them in as much as possible. As for my opponent, he comes in with a relatively strong Air Force as well, though not quite as powerful as ours. He himself has an Exalted Lord of Change of Tzeentch magic, coming with the usual two suspect spells, the pink and blue fire. One unit of Doom Knights, one unit of Screamers. You can see they're instantly retreating back to friendly territory, realizing they're outnumbered in the skies. A couple of Forsaken, got some Blue Horrors, as well as a Cultist of Tzeentch down on the ground, using a Power Stone, coming in with Fireball, Flaming Sword of Rune, Burning Head, Cascading Fire Cloak. That's a lot of spells, and an early Fireball is going to get zipped along the battlefield, aiming towards my general, but we're quite easily able to juke those shots and simply fly up and over them. My opponent's going to be taking a very defensive stance early on in the game, which is understandable because he simply cannot push out with that Air Force. It will lose pretty tragically. He's also going to be summoning in, looks like a really early summon of Pink Horrors, maybe from the Cultists of Tzeentch. Bold choice. I don't think they're going to see too much love and action unless they are pushing and really get nice and aggressive as quickly as possible. Should be a good fun game. I do know I have been neglecting land battles a little bit in recent weeks. I'm going to do a load of land battles for quite a few, like for a month or so, kind of dominating the channel. Gone back for Domination for a bit due to the patch changes. They've been pretty damn huge, but they've mainly been balanced for Domination game mode, though. Don't worry, land battle fans, I haven't forgotten you. I'll do a land battle probably tomorrow or the next day. Anyway, it looks like our first fight in the air is about to be underway. The Exalted Lord of Change has been clipped a little bit by the nasty Tzeentch Meister himself. Pink Horror's rain shots down on Doom Knights. A lovely fat juicy Searing Doom does go down. My opponent was relatively swift on the dodge, though, and it only really did shield damage, which isn't something I took into consideration when I brought Searing Doom. However, shields are a lot worse now. They do take a lot longer to recharge, and that, of course, does mean such spells are pretty useful. We have an absolute clustercluck of madness. Duck on duck violence. Don't you love it? As they clash up in the skies. My opponent chucks fireballs in here. We chuck Final Transmutations. Yeah, we know how to rock and party. Cascading Fire Cloak has gone down, but we're doing massive damage right now in the sky game. And on the ground game, we have pushed super aggressively, driving back the pink and blue horrors with a Forsaken rush. And I really think Forsaken one of the best units in the game for Tzeentch. Pushing forward, you can see shields popping and eyes bulging as the Forsaken get down and dirty. Likewise, I have some Knights who have whipped up and around the flanks. I am actually going to retreat backwards, realizing there are Forsaken nearby, and try to hit these horrors instead, which is really our priority target. The enemy general is in hot retreat, which I certainly understand why, as he beelines into some of my Knights who have charged Leroy Jenkins style into the front line. And it's getting pretty messy for my opponent team. Pinned back aggressively, Blue Horrors are raining shots in, and we have even more Searing Dooms coming in, clattering to the enemy general and his little grubby minions. The Knights on the ground doing a good job just pinning the enemy in place. In the back, though, my opponent has summoned an Exalted Flamer with Overwatch Fire coming with Flamers of Tzeentch. That is a deadly combo. And ladies and gentlemen, as well as those ducks out there, Exalted Flamers of Tzeentch have received a massive buff. Not only have they gained a much larger range on them, they also have more ammunition. Both those things make them pretty damn devastating now. I think we're going to be seeing them a lot more than previous. They were quite a fun year before, but we didn't see them terribly often, and now I think they're going to be quite a common pick. You can see the Flamers are getting jumped by some Screamers, but they did their job decimating the Chaos Knights and freeing up their beautiful, lovely little jellyfish of Doom. And look at his range from all the way down there into the middle. Searing Doom does clatter in some Blue Horrors. I am starting to run a little bit out of steam, though. Chaos Furies are swarming and just going all up in the face of that Exalted Lord. My opponent summoned some Furies himself, and both the Lords are pretty beat up. Now, we do have Objective 2 for ourselves. Objective 3 remains yet unclaimed. I am pushing for Objective 1 and summoning some more Blue Horrors. Tempted to go for the Triple Cap, as, you know, it is quite nice, although I don't want my opponent to get too far behind. Otherwise, he would get some really juicy comeback supply bonus. Fireball is going to be a whipping towards my Lord. I'm quite able to juke it. Of course, Ducks, masters of sea, land, and air. Really kind of showing the versatility of them here. Blue Horrors are focus firing down the enemy general. I want this guy dead, and I want him dead now. I'm pouring all the shots. I don't care about any resistances. I simply want blood for the Blood God, though secretly I am, of course, wanting those schemes. Big Fat Searing Doom does clatter in some Chaos Knights and some okay damage. Once again, mainly does go down on the shields, and this is why I try some pretty risky stuff in a second. So the Exalted Change does move back out of fire from the Exalted Flamer, who's once again getting jumped by my own Knights. Have my opponent doing his due diligence here, and is really going to be cycle charging into them, finishing them off, and helping protect the Exalted Flamer, who's doing some really nice work. I'm going to get a little bit risky in just a second. Pink Horrors do come, or no, Pink Fire, I should say, goes down the line. And I am just moving into this grinder, an absolute meat grinder. My opponent's got better position with Pink Horrors and Blue Horrors. Launch those shots into our big push, although we are starting to break through. It looks like the Exalted Change is still being focus fired down quite heavily, down to 2,000 HP. Not going to be liking that whatsoever. I do summon some Chaos Knights once again to whip around the flanks, realizing I'm getting dragged into a killing plane here. The Forsaken, though, are busting through the front line, and I'm chasing away enemy Flamers, though they are going to be relatively effective at kiting here, and other Forsaken are pushing onto Blue Horrors, looking to rip them to shreds, while my opponent's Forsaken are getting gunned down by the dreaded Blue Horrors. Blue Horrors, such a good, cost-effective unit in general. We do have Pink Horrors being led by a Cultist of Tzeentch around the side, and as my opponent really does need to start applying some pressure to these objectives, otherwise he's going to get too far behind. He's currently at 1,000 tickets in the negative. Blue Horrors are overwhelming Forsaken, and that's going to allow me to move into hand-to-hand combat with the Pink Horrors, of course. It's going to be a fantastic idea for us. And now we have Forsaken moving in to deal damage to the Pink Horrors, though they're getting tied up by Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights, notoriously and quite famously, really powerful in this mirror match. But this is where I get a little bit bold and risky. I see my opponent's general is super weak, and I want to finish him off. I have a final transmutation, and I'm willing to risk flying into the hellfire of Flamers, Pink Horrors, to attempt to drop the final transmutation down on the enemy Lord. Though we do get blue fire come our way, and it looks like those shots connect, stripping our shield, plus a fireball comes up, plus blue horror pressure. Our Lord goes down. I had about 2 seconds left for that final transmutation to go down. We've lost our Lord, and that could be a big turning point in this battle. So I nearly capture the enemy's objective 3 here, but I decide, you know what, I don't want it at the moment. I don't want to get so far ahead that my opponent gets massive and ridiculous amounts of comeback. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to push forward into the enemy instead. Chaos Knights grinding against Chaos Knights. You know anything about medieval combat, or I suppose ancient combat, you don't really want to be sticking still on a horse. You really want to be whirling and twirling around, cycle charging your opponents and clattering into them, because horse and horse violence like this, horses are very vulnerable to being shanked in the flank or having their hamstrings cut and so on, and that makes a knight pretty useless on the ground. So yeah, the knights being blobbed in a big old fight in the middle isn't really favouring anyone. And look at the fire coming in from the Flamers, as well as that glorious Exalted Flamer Tzeentch, who's pretty damn good at kiting. He's relatively swift on his little jellyfish propellers. Up to 108 kills already, and far outstripping my Forsaken. So we have a nice overarching view of the battlefield. It's been an absolute flustercluck so far. Hopefully you guys are, you know, keeping up, because there's some wild stuff going on and a lot of the similar units. But my opponent is now going for his home objective. He has a vastly superior army to me, and has actually got a bit more damage value than me, I think, by this point in the battle, due to those Flamers. I had a really good start, real positive start, but the Flamer pressure is simply too much. It is burning through my units, and I didn't bring any of my own. Combine that with the Pink Horror pressure, my Chaos Knights, though they're doing some nice work, getting down and dirty in the thick of it, they are getting bogged and stuck down, and my opponent is really starting to bring the pain with this range contingent of troops. Likewise, he's kept his Lord alive and kept him in the back, which is pretty scary stuff for me. Big Beam of Death does calm down on my Knights, but they're going to be falling back here as Screamers do start to let loose a Death Scream and charge into combat. I'm going to be falling back out of range of all this missile pressure and Flamers. So our rear range are getting singed a little bit as we flee. Look at the damage. My poor Chaos Knights survive. The middle objective is starting to fall as well. I'm fighting a little bit for it. I don't want to commit too many forces to this middle point. I've got some pink horrors moving up to do some long-range pressure, but I really am looking to hold my home objective. Now, at this point, I realize I'm going to have to scrap for everything on the battlefield. My opponent's looking to cap this objective. I'm going to stop him. Can I stop him indefinitely? No, but I can buy time. Every ticket matters right now, so I'm getting rid of these Forsaken, driving them off the battlefield, and stopping my opponent from capping this objective for that tiny bit longer. A couple of seconds could be the difference between victory and defeat, and that's why you always should continue to scrap here. Middle objective is starting to falter. We have pink horrors though unleashing hell upon my enemy, trying to get back in the damage value game, so I'm behind quite a bit. Forsaken move forward as well, just to slow that cap any way possible, and there's mainly knights here who don't have the greatest capture rate in the world. Also, at the same time, I'm just trying to move my forces to objective 1, because this is where I am either going to win or lose the game. Can I hold this objective, or can my opponent get back into the game? He's going to be getting a bit of comeback bonus now as well. I believe he'll be getting about an extra 10 tickets due to the fact that he is over 2,000 tickets behind. Blue horrors, pink horrors, all of it is moving in. We do just about lose objective 2, and my opponent has now finally claimed his home objective. Did take him a while though, and now we are sitting back and hoping we can hold the line. Forsaken R1 rushing in, blue horrors ready to meet their enemies, screeching a war cry and some 360 no scopes, and look at the damage being poured onto my opponent. We get nice and aggressive with our Forsaken, drive into the heart of this formation, and use the Chaos Knights to try and ramrod and force a wedge formation through onto the pink horrors. We have Screamers rear attacking them as well. I'm looking to really dispel this early push. My opponent trying to get a bit of a foothold in objective 1 before his main army gets it, and I'm not having it. His main army is being held back at the moment. I'm trying to keep objective 2 as I push him with blue horrors and come in with the glorious fires of Tzeentch. Rain holy fire down upon them. I'm catching a decent chunks of units here. Really wanted to get those Chaos Knights low because they have so much more ability to apply pressure all over the battlefield, and I want them gone, so massive damage done to them. Very happy that I saved up to use the bigger spell, and I've had that for quite some time, because to get those big boons for Tzeentch, you do have to be casting spells. My spellcaster's gone. In the back, I am hiding one unit of Chaos Knights, looking to jump any units which are spawned in the form of like pink horrors and flamers and so on, who might be a little bit vulnerable. I do see the EXALTED FLAMER is isolated alone. It looks like he was recalled into the action once more. The Screamers of Tzeentch will be hunting him down, and my opponent is also going to be countering me with even more Screamers. I do hold back this first push. Pink horrors got surrounded and butchered. Objective 1 is looking a little bit light on troops. So in fact, I'm looking pretty light across the battlefield. But I do summon in, more Forsaken and blue horrors. My opponent's attempting to pin them in place, but I'm not really having it. I'm just pushing through as he does go about his butcher's work, securing objective 2. Now the Tzeentch player does need to hurry up though. There's a lot to be said about kind of sitting back and trying to get more resources and so on from the combat mechanic. From my experience, a tournament plate doesn't work at all. I haven't seen it work much in any tournaments I've hosted, but it definitely can work really effectively on ranked, and it may have worked here as well. It's certainly a viable strategy because my opponent has such overwhelming odds now in his army, and he's been making that dash for objective 1. But I'm willing to hold it. I've got a lot of troops, and now it is a ticking timer. Can he take it in time, or can we get the better of the objectives? We've summoned some Doom Knights of our own to dispatch our enemy Doom Knights because they've been very annoying, harassing my deployment zone. Forsaken are also chewing through the enemy. Chaos Knights do charge in with blue horrors to dispatch the Chaos Knights of my opponent. There is Knights galore everywhere. This is really a good matchup for them in general. Now, Forsaken and blue horrors seem to be trying to wrap around a little bit for some reason. Not really sure what my plan was here. They're just going to get their asses lit on fire by the EXALTED FLAMER, and this is going to be some gnarly stuff for sure. They raise their hands, but their hands shall be singed in the holy fires of Tzeentch. We are going to be charging in though, trying to get to grips with the EXALTED FLAMER and just keep my opponent away from the objective as long as physically possible. Flamers do reap some shots into Chaos Knights. Doom Knights are floating in, looking to bring the pain to the enemy Flamers. Blue horrors as well are getting to grips with Screamers down here with Forsaken, so we should better hold that middle push. It is the high ground though where we're going to be suffering quite badly. Look at the amount of enemy infantry on the battlefield. I do swoop in my Chaos Knights. My opponent simply summons more and is going to be coming in to overwhelm me, and I am really clinging on now. 4,350 tickets to 2,165, but the objective looks very, very open as my early push hubris of capturing 2 objectives led to my downfall. Well, maybe not yet. We have pink horrors on the warpath. We have Forsaken. We've got Doom Knights swooping in. Likewise, I have even more blue horrors actually whipping around this formation, doing some sneaky deployment to try to hold the objective. Now, my opponent is having to chuck everything he has in this direction to try to claim it. I am gritting my teeth and attempting to hold on. The pink horrors unleash deadly salvos onto any enemy infantry, and I'm focusing on infantry as much as physically possible because that is what has the most capture weight. We also have more blue horrors moving in, and it is a real back and forth. You can see my opponent started to capture it, and now I'm starting to capture it back. I have more blue horrors on approach. I have knights here, and I have a unit of Forsaken. So everything's going on to objective 1, right? My opponent's pushing in, and what should I do in this situation? Should I just put all my units on 1 and attempt to hold it? Well, 9 times out of 10, you want to put 90% of your forces on there, but I've been a little bit sneaky. I am playing Tzeentch today. I'm a scheming duck. I've learned well in the pools of chaotic energy, and I've summoned a sneaky unit of blue horrors, and their goal is to go and capture objective 3, or at least pull some resources away from the main battle line of my opponent. So if I had Chaos Knights or something, I would use them instead. But I'm hoping it will draw the attention of my opponent, and he will have to bring a load of resources over there, allow me to hold objective 1, or my opponent won't spot it and I'll be able to capture it. Chaos Knights flood in, Forsaken flood in. The objective is being so slowly taken, but Chaos Knights are whipping the pink horrors into a mad frenzy as the Exalted Flamer is continuing to obliterate my troops, and he's been a gigantic flaming pain in my arse. 250 kills so far, 2.2k gold value. I wish I'd brought one. I actually was going to do a different replay on one where I used one and it got load of value and so on, but this battle was just so insane. I felt like, hey, this one's going to have to replace the old one, and I do lose objective 1. Disaster. Disaster. There is no way I can claim this back. Look how much larger of an army my opponent has. He's way ahead on damage value, as well as getting that juicy comeback bonus in the mid-game helped him so much. And it looks like all is lost. Objective 1 is gone. And we were so close. 4,875 tickets. Or are we lost? Because the sneaky Mission Impossible blue horrors are starting to capture objective number 3, and my opponent realizes his mistake. My hubris early on has been matched and in fact outdone by my opponents, launching everything at objective 1 in a desperate gambit to claim it because he was so slow getting on the objectives early, has led him vulnerable to these back caps. I have, it looks like, a unit of blue horrors on the way, and my screamers are just screeching across the battlefield. I need them here, and I need them here. Now, my opponent's trying to get in and stopping me capping it. He does have more ground forces, so the blue horrors are actually going to move up to the edge of the box. I try a little juke there. I don't really know why. As Flamers were still squaring me in the face, but I felt fancy, and it looks like we do just about claim this objective, so I'm going to fall back slightly, allow the screamers to come in and assassinate the Flamers, taking away that damage output of my opponent, and that will allow the blue horrors to hold back the pink long enough for me to keep this objective. I have more blue horrors bomb rushing Usain Bolt style, screaming forward towards the objective, but it doesn't matter. The heroes, the Chads, the ultimate blue horror unit, the greatest blue horrors ever to grace the realms of mankind, as well as the Chaos Realms, I would argue, are victorious in the sneakiest slimeball backstabbing underhand tactic game that I was able to pull out with the glorious back cap there. I love that one so much. It was a wild game to play. I was like, oh, this is so close. Is he going to overwhelm me? And he did, but he did not notice the blue horrors until it was a little bit too little too late. The Tzeentch mastermind tricks, 10,000 IQ plays do rule supreme. Very well played to my opponent. I don't know what his name was. His name was just blank, unfortunately, on the screen, which I think means they have like Japanese like language or like symbols, I suppose, as their name, and my version of the game doesn't pick it up, unfortunately. I think it may be the same with like Russian symbols as well, and so on. But a very good game by my opponent. Tried to sit back and just absorb damage. He was kind of forced to do that tactic realistically because I was overwhelming him with Forsaken push in the early game. We were so dominant, but losing my Lord all of a sudden flipped the game. I wasn't able to sustain the pressure, and then with the comeback, he was able to overwhelm me in the late game. However, the Blue Horrors are the heroes they were always destined to be. But I must say, this Exalted Flamer was a living nightmare to deal with. They are so much better now. I really do love them quite a bit. I don't think they're like brokenly OP or anything. They're still very squishy. They still have their problems. In fact, they do less damage than the basic Flamers, but that longer range, better at killing single entities, or very good at killing single entities at least, they can do some good work indeed. And they don't have to get as close as Flamers, and that's the trade-off. That should always be the trade-off. That Flamers do more damage, but have to get closer. Exalted Flamers do nicer burst damage, but can be a bit further away. 2.6k gold value on that boy and 305 kills is very impressive stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'll delve into the gold value of some key units and kills and stuff in just a memento. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up. subscribe to the channel as well for more content into the future, and leave a comment down below what you thought of that absolute madness of a game. Load of links as well to Twitch, Discord, Patreon, all that good stuff in the description. So back to the battle. How did our lords fare? So neither of them probably did that great. They were kind of kept busy. 1.6 for our lord, 1.6 for their lord. Relatively even trade. 1,000 and 2,600 for my Doom Knights. My opponents at 1.3 there. Knights, only 137 is not that great. Forsaken 900 value, Screamers 1,000 though, and the Knights really just bumped and grinded. The Forsaken was so nice, 1,500 value there, being a real standout, and 186 kills. It's also looking pretty juicy. We're able to overwhelm my opponent. Blue Horrors, 1.2k value. I'm just going to assume the unit with 1.2k value. Oh no, they're dead. Oh, which unit was it? It was probably this unit because they were getting a little bit damaged, or one of these two were the true heroes of our people today. As for my opponent, 1.1 count the Cultist. Nice to see him get a bit of love and action. 950 and 750 value on the Forsaken. 1.6 on the Screamers of 99 kills is very impressive work, although they were probably summoned multiple times. His Knights performed far better than mine. 175 kills, 2.5k gold value, 797 value. 2.6 on the Exalted Flamers, disgusting. 1.6 on the Flamers is also really juicy. So lovely play all round. Blue Horror's got 1.2 value. I like to see it. And yeah, that was a wild game. It did certainly leave me breathless there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.